If you're planning to deploy AI infrastructure in 2025, going into 2026, and you were counting on getting NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs, I've got bad news for you. They're gone, sold out, through the end of 2025. This isn't speculation, NVIDIA confirmed it. Blackwell GPUs are sold out for the next 12 months. And if you didn't lock in your allocations months ago, you're not getting them this year. Let's talk about what this means and what you can do about it. First, let's understand the scale of what we're dealing with here. NVIDIA reported $46.7 billion in revenue for Q2 of fiscal year 2026. That's up 56% year over year. Data center revenue alone was $41.1 billion. The demand for AI compute is not slowing down, it's accelerating. Blackwell is NVIDIA's latest architecture. It's a generational leap over Hopper, the H100 and H200. We're talking about significant performance improvements for AI training and inference. And every hyperscaler, every cloud provider, every enterprise with serious AI ambitions, they all want it. The problem is supply. NVIDIA had production issues with Blackwell early on. They worked with TSMC to fix them, and they shipped several $1 billion worth of Blackwell GPUs in Q4 of 2024. But that wasn't enough. Reports suggest NVIDIA has already sold 3.6 million Blackwell GPUs, and that doesn't even include Meta's allocation, which is substantial. So we're not talking about a small shortage. We're talking about a supply-demand mismatch at a scale we haven't seen before. Now, some of you are thinking, okay, I'll just stick with Hopper, H100s and H200s. They're still available, right? Well, sort of. Hopper supply is better than Blackwell, but it's not unlimited. So what are your options? Well, option one, lock in your Blackwell allocation now for 2026. If you're planning a deployment in the first half of 2026, third quarter of 2026, you need to be talking to your suppliers today. Not next quarter, today. Lead times are measured in quarters, not weeks. Option two, look at alternatives. And yes, they are alternatives. AMD is making a serious push. They've got the MI300 series, and they're not sitting still. In October 2025, AMD announced a partnership with OpenAI. OpenAI is buying AMD GPUs, and in exchange, OpenAI is investing in AMD. That's not a small deal. That's a signal that AMD is being taken seriously as a viable alternative to NVIDIA for AI workloads. Oracle just announced they're deploying 50,000 AMD AI chips in their cloud. That's not a pilot. That's a production scale deployment. And they're doing it specifically as an alternative to NVIDIA. Now, let's be clear. AMD is not NVIDIA. The software ecosystem is different. CUDA is still the dominant platform for AI development. AMD's ROCm or ROCm is improving, but it's not at parity. If your team is deeply invested in CUDA, switching to AMD is not a trivial decision. You're going to have porting work. You're going to have to optimize the work. You're going to have a learning curve. But here's the counter argument. If you can't get NVIDIA, if you can't get their GPUs, what's the alternative? You're not just going to wait. You're not just going to hope. That's not a strategy. And AMD isn't the only option. You got Intel, Gaudi, Google has TPUs for their cloud customers. There are startups working on custom AI accelerators. The market is diversifying. NVIDIA still dominates, but they don't have a monopoly. Option three, rethink your architecture. Do you really need cutting-edge GPUs for every workload? Training large models? Yes. You need the best hardware you can get. But inference, maybe not. There are inference-optimized chips that are cheaper, more power efficient, and more available than training GPUs. And if you're doing fine-tuning or smaller scale training, you might be able to get by with older generation hardware or alternative accelerators. The key is to match the hardware to the workload, not just default to we need the latest and greatest. Option 4, cloud. If you can't buy the hardware, rent it. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, they all have Blackwell allocations. They're not unlimited, but they've got priority access because they're buying at scale. If your use case can tolerate cloud economics, that might be your fastest path to Blackwell. The downside, obviously, is cost. Cloud GPU instances are expensive. If you're running continuous workloads, the TCO of cloud can be significantly higher than on-prem. But if you need to get started now, you can't wait for hardware, cloud, that might be your only and best option. Option number 5, optimize what you've got. If you're stuck with existing hardware, can you squeeze more performance out of it? Model compression, quantization, pruning, mixed precision training. These techniques can give you significant performance improvements without new hardware. And don't underestimate software optimization. A lot of AI workloads are not GPU bound, they're IO bound or memory bound. If you can optimize your data pipeline, your batch sizes, your parallelization strategy, you might be able to get more throughput from your existing cluster. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. This shortage is not just an NVIDIA problem. It's a symptom of a broader issue. The entire AI supply chain is stretched thin. TSMC is running at capacity. CoWoS packaging, the advanced packaging technology used for high-end AI chips, is constrained. HBM memory, which is critical for AI accelerators, is in short supply. Even the substrates and interposers are bottlenecks. So even if NVIDIA ramps up production, even if AMD ramps production, we're still going to see supply constraints for the foreseeable future. This is not a problem that gets solved by the end of 2025, not even 2026, maybe 2027, but definitely not this year. What does this mean for your AI strategy? First, you need to plan further ahead. The days of we'll order GPUs when we're ready to deploy, those are over. You need to be forecasting your hardware needs 12 to 18 months out and locking in allocations early. Second, you need to be flexible. If your entire plan depends on getting a specific GPU at a specific time, your plan is fragile. You need backup options, alternative vendors, alternative architectures, alternative deployment models. And third, you need to be strategic about where you deploy cutting-edge hardware. Not every workload needs Blackwell. Reserve your best hardware for your most critical workloads. Use older hardware or alternative accelerators for everything else. And fourth, you need to be realistic with stakeholders. If your business is expecting AI capabilities to be deployed in Q2 of 2026 and you don't have hardware locked in, you need to have those conversations now, not in Q2 when you're scrambling. So here's the bottom line. The Blackwell shortage is real. It's not going away. And if you haven't planned for it, you're behind. But this is also an opportunity. The companies that figure out how to navigate the shortage by diversifying their hardware, optimizing their software, or rethinking their architecture, those are the companies that are going to have a competitive advantage. The companies that just wait for NVIDIA to catch up are going to fall behind. So what's your plan? Are you locked in for 2026? Are you exploring our alternatives? Are you optimizing what you've got? Because doing nothing, well, that's not an option. And if you're trying to figure out your hardware strategy for 2026 and beyond, reach out. I work with companies on AI infrastructure planning, and I'd be happy to help. And to you vendors or service providers looking to reach this audience, consider sponsoring our channel or even a series. That's it for this one. I'm Vernon Neal Reed, and this is AI Infrastructure Media.